Hello friends, it has been rightly said in the Sanskrit, Jnanavana eva sukhavana, Jnanavana eva jivati, Jnanavana eva balavana, tasmata jnanamayogo. It means that everyone should gain the knowledge. And in the modern era, actually knowledge is about the information and awareness. And knowledge about the banking system, knowledge about the legal awareness plays an important role in everyone's day-to-day life. Both of us, that is myself, Shantanu Pandharkar and Mr. Sachin, are public sector bankers. And in public sector banks, legal framework play immense important role. There are number of laws which actually play important role in day-to-day working of public sector banks, starting from SURFACIA to the various DRT rulings, etc., etc. But the basic act which plays crucial role is the Negotiable Instruments Act 1881. Frankly speaking, this Negotiable Instrument Act is a very vast subject. It is one of the subjects in our third year LLB course. But we tried to give the basic outline of this Negotiable Instrument Act via this legal awareness video. Because this legal awareness is very much important, not only for the financial literacy or financial inclusion, but it gives the sense of duty and rights to the common people. So whenever opportunity work under this area, we try to conduct the meetings of the customers of the public sector bank or common people or students to promote not only financial literacy, financial inclusion, but to give some legal awareness information to the common citizens of our nation. Using this opportunity of the project, we try to give legal awareness to the urban part of the area and to the semi-urban or rural part of the area in the Thane district. And we conducted 2 seminars regarding the same. Preparation of the subject is basically done from the bare act, and various number of resources, videos are available on the internet, on YouTube. The help of the same is taken as a reference point. So, as far as NI Act is concerned, I am going to talk about the basic outline of the NI Act. And Mr. Sachin, in NI Act, for the common people, most important thing is the checks. So, types of checks. If it is dishonored, then penalty for the same. That part will be taken care by Mr. Sachin. So let's start with the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. As it directly suggests that it is initiated in the 1881, so it is the act from the British era, and most of the part is unchanged since then. The act was originally drafted in 1866 by Third Indian Law Commission, which was introduced in 1867. As of today, there are total 148 sections of Negotiable Instrument Act. It came into the force from 1st of March 1882. It's almost 140 years old act. And the recent amendment done by the current government in this NI Act is on 1st of September 2018. As far as definition and negotiable instrument is concerned, it has been described in the section 3, which actually contains 3 parts. One is promissory note, second one is the bill of exchange, and third one is the check payable either to order or to bearer. These are basically 3 things which we consider or which commonly known as negotiable instrument. There are some characteristics of negotiable instrument which contains it must be freely transferable either by delivery or by endorsement and delivery. It means if you are giving that negotiable instrument to someone else, that money or whatever the amount that should be payable to it in whatever, there are different types of it, we will discuss it later on. In this negotiable instrument, the transfer is taking the instrument in good faith and for consideration gets good title for the same, even if the title of the transferor is defective. The party holding the instrument should be entitled to maintain a suit thereon in case of instrument gets dishonored while in his custody. It means this NI Act gives the power to that piece of paper, and if it is get dishonored, it gives the power to the other party to take the legal action on the drawer of the instrument. Various characteristics as long as negotiable instrument we are considering are: it is a right written or signed by the maker. It is unconditional one in the nature. It actually deals with the fixed amount of money which is transferable in nature, absolute in nature, and it is all these activities are taken in a good faith with good title. And right to recovery is certain due to this act. There are various provisions has been made regarding the same. If we consider the RBI Act 1934. So let's see which are the important sections of Negotiable Instrument Act. I have already told that there are 148 sections of the Negotiable Instrument Act, but which are play the crucial role as long as Negotiable Instrument Act is concerned. The section 4 is promissory note, section 5 is bill of exchange, section 6 gives information about the checks, section 10 is talk about payment in due course, section 11 talks about inland instrument, section 12 is foreign instrument, section 13 is what we discussed earlier, that is negotiable instrument, section 92 talks about the dishonor of by non-payment, and section 118 talks about the presumptions as to negotiable instruments. Various amendments had taken place. Amendment 143 to 147 touch various limbs of the Parent Act, and check trunction via digitally were also included since 6th February 2003. There are various kinds of negotiable instruments. Basically, these instruments have been classified into two different parts. One is negotiable instrument by state, and that is we consider as a promissory notes, bill of exchange, and checks. And when we consider the negotiable instrument by usage, then we consider as a banknote, draft, share, warrants, bearers, debentures. Let's talk the important about it. The first one, which is the promissory note. What is promissory note? Promissory note is nothing but our day-to-day currency notes is one of its kind of promissory note. If you see the currency note, वहाँ नीचे लिखा रहता है मैं धारक को ये देने की रखता हूँ, and it is signed by the governor of India, except which two notes, which was signed by the earlier it was signed by the financial secretary. So a common note which has, but it's actually a piece of paper, but when it is by this act, it is considered as a promissory note, and which gives value to that piece of paper as whatever the denomination it has. So that is mentioned in the section 4 of this NI Act. According to this section 4 of that, a promissory note is an instrument in writing containing an unconditional undertaking signed by the maker to pay a certain sum of money to the order of a certain person or to bearer of the instrument. Whenever a person comes to the bank for a loan or advances type of anything, whichever documents he has to sign, the basic document, very basic document is the demand promissory note. Earlier what I talked about the currency note, it just gives you the idea of how it correlates with the promissory note. But the basic demand promissory note is worked with the, when it comes from the advances in the banking system, the basic document, if person fails to repay the amount, the basic document which will go into the courtrooms and do our proceedings there, the basic one is considered as the demand promissory note. It is the promise which one makes to the other party. The second is considered as the bill of exchange. It is also an unconditional order. It is also an instrument in writing, and it is drawn and signed by the maker. The bill of exchange is mentioned in the section 5 of the NI Act 1881, and it is an instrument in writing containing an unconditional order signed by the maker, directing a certain person to pay a certain sum of money only to or to the order of a certain person or to the bearer of the instrument. Bill of exchange is a vast subject when we consider it. Not only in the case of inland businesses, but for the purpose of export, it plays an immense important role. Section 6 talks about the checks. Mr. Ranit will consider the check, its types and other things in detail. But according to section 6, I am only just giving the basic briefing for the same. According to the section 6 of that, check is an order by the customer of the bank, directing his banker to pay on demand the specified amount to or to the order of the same person named therein or to the bearer. It is the actually in layman's term, when you have a check and you present it to your banker, it is the against the same we means bank issue the money to the bearer of the check or whatever as per the mandate given by the drawer. So there are some differences also between promissory note and bill of exchange as concerned. Means in case of promissory notes, number of parties involved are two in nature, which are one is the debtor and which maker of the promissory note, and second one is the pay, which is creditor of the promissory note. In case of bill of exchange, there are three parties involved, which are drawer, drawee, and pay. In case of promissory note, it contains promise to pay by maker to the pay of his order. While in case of bill of exchange, it contains an unconditional order to the drawee to pay according to the instruction of the drawer. Means third party gets involved in case of bill of exchange. So these are some of the basic differences in between promissory note and bill of exchange is concerned. It is not necessary to send a notice of dishonor in case of promissory notes, while in the case of bill of exchange it is necessary to serve the notice of dishonor by holder to the drawer and immediate endorsement. Endorsement we are going to discuss hereafter. But before that, let's discuss there are various number of parties in different negotiable instruments. In case of negotiable instrument, the basic one is the drawer. Drawer is actually the person who draws the instrument, means who gives the order or who draws the check, you say, or promissory note. It's considered as the drawer. In short, it has been said the maker of a bill of exchange or the maker of a check is called the drawer. For layman's term, who orders, it's considered as a drawer. The person who is to pay the money by the drawer, it's called the drawee. You may say the beneficiary also. The acceptor is considered as if someone else accepts the money in place of drawee, then it's considered as an acceptor. While pay is the person to whom the money is to be paid as directed by the instrument. He is considered the actual beneficiary. When he signs his name and makes the instrument payable to some other person, the person does not become the payee. There are some other definitions also, which is like endorser. When the holder transfers the instrument to someone else, the holder becomes endorser. Means my name is written on the check, but I have endorsed it on the front side or the back side, confirm the same and endorsed it to some other person's name, then I become an endorser. And the person on whose name it has been endorsed becomes endorsing. Holder, a person who is legally entitled to the possession of the negotiable instrument, is considered as the holder. Depends upon these, there are basic outline about the same line has been considered. The parties has been considered in case of promissory note also, in case of checks also. There are various modes of negotiation. Negotiations made by mere delivery also, negotiation made by endorsement and delivery also. Section 15 of the Act basically talks about the endorsement of of instrument. When the maker or holder of a negotiable instrument signs the same, otherwise than as such maker, for the purpose of negotiation on the back side of the instrument or face of it, or any other paper which is annexure of the instrument, then it is the person who signed is called an endorser. An endorsement is complete by the delivery of the instrument to the endorser. An endorsement means an endorsement completed by the delivery. There are various types of the endorsement also, which first one is the blank endorsement, general endorsement. The effect of blank endorsement is to convert the order of instrument into a bearer instrument which may be transferred merely by the delivery. Partial endorsement is in detail discussed in the section 56. Endorsement in full or special endorsement, restrictive endorsement discussed in section 50, conditional endorsement are also some other types of endorsement. Section 52 is considered sham recourse endorsement, in which the endorser expressly excludes his own liability on the NI of the negotiable instrument to the endorsee or any subsequent holder in case of dishonor. One other type which is considered in case of endorsement, which is facultative endorsement. The endorser expressly gives up some of his rights under the Act. So, NI Act at the end is the basic act which gives drawer and drawing the basic guideline how to work in this financial era. Three major parts of NI Act. One is promissory note, second is bill of exchange, and third is the check. Checks, which is very much important part, will be discussed by next part of this video by Mr. Sachin Ranit. Mr. Ranit will discuss the checks, its types, what is the penalty if the check is disordered, and relative sections given in the NI Act. In today's world, in modern era, when we look at the conclusion of the first part of this video, there is no any alternative to the lakhs of transactions taking place every day. Negotiable Instrument Act 1881 deals with all the provisions of the instruments which are a crucial part of this modern economics and commercial transactions due to the development in the banking, trading and other commercial sectors. This act provides liabilities and duties for both. First one is the drawer and the drawee also. It is the basic framework, and layman, common man of India must be aware about the basic part of the same, and which is actually need of an order. Thank you very much.
There is no better way to exercise the imagination than the study of law. With this quote, I am starting this video. I am Sachin Ranit, studying in LLB second year, BPM TMC Law College, Thane. My roll number is 115, Division B. As part of my internal work, I have chosen the topic Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. One of my colleague, Mr. Shantanu Pandharkar, who is also student of our college, we both are working in a banking industry, so we have decided to make a internal project on topic Negotiable Instrument Act. My topic is check. So in this topic I will be covering meaning of a check, parties to a check, types of a check, and dishonor of a check and its punishment. Let's start with the meaning of a check. A check is a negotiable instrument that instructing a financial institution to pay a specific amount from a specific demand account held in the name of maker with that institution. In a simple words, check is a method of payment It is specialized type of contract for payment of money, which is unconditional and capable of transfer by negotiation. As per Negotiable Instrument Act, check is a bill of exchange drawn on a specified banker and not expressed to be payable otherwise than on demand. Now let's discuss about parties to a check. There are four parties to a check: drawer, drawee, payee and payer. A person who issues a check or writes the check is called as drawer of a check. Drawee, the person being directed to pay, is called as drawee. Payee, one who receives the payment, is called as payee. Payer, the person who issues the check, is called as payer. Now let's discuss about types of checks. There are several types of checks, but blank checks and cross checks are common, which are very familiar in India. So let's start about types of checks. Bearer checks. Bearer checks is the checks anyone can bears or carries it to the bank for the payment is called as bearer check. Order check. A order check is the one that has words or bearer cancel out. That means the person whose name is written on the check, that person only can receive the payment. Cross checks. A cross check is the check which can have bent two parallel lines on top left corner of the check and a line is written account payee only. That means that whoever can bring the check to the bank, but payment will be received to the account of the name mentioned on the check. Open check. An open check does not have the cross lines and hence it is called as uncrossed checks. Post dated checks. Post dated checks bears a date later than the date it was issued on. It can be only cash after the date which is specified by the payer. Stale check. Stale check is the check whose validity is expired and can no longer be cashed. Traveler's check. Traveler's check is issued by bank and can be cashed by pay at another bank in another country. Self check. A self check can be word as self, means maker of a check can withdraw the money by putting self as a payee name. Banker's check. A banker's check is issued by the bank itself. A bank issues a banker check on behalf of an account holder to payment to another person in the same city. Blank check. A blank check is the one that has the sign of the issuer and no other details are filled. Blank checks are pose a high risk because if it's lost, anyone finds it, it can fill any amount and issues it to themselves. Now let's discuss about if check is dishonored. When a check is dishonored, the drawee bank immediately issues a check written memo to the banker of the payee mentioning the reason for non-payment. Maximum times the reason for non-payment of a check is funds insufficient, and for the same reason the payee may legally sue the defaulter drawer for dishonor of a check. If the amount mentioned in the check is toward the discharge of a debt or any other liability of the defaulter towards pay. Now let's discuss about and penalty for dishonor of a check. On receiving the complaint along with an affidavit and relevant paper trail, the court will issue summons and hear the matter. If found guilty, the defaulter can be punished with monetary penalty which may be twice the amount of a check, or imprisonment for a term which may be extended for 2 years, or both. The bank also has the right to stop the checkbook facility and close the account for repeat offenders and bounced checks. If the drawer makes the payment within 15 days from the date of receipt of the notice, then the drawer does not commit any offense. So from the above topic, it is clear that check plays a very important role in a day-to-day banking and business life. So I am going to conclude this video with my topic on Negotiable Instrument Act 1881 check.